From WGEM and High Definition with Gene Kennedy, Alexandra Carter, Storm Track Weather with Chief Meteorologist Mike Cole, and Sports Director Ben Marth. This is WGEM News at 10, the Tri-State's news leader.
Tri-State police say they're dealing with drugged driving more than ever before.
We're talking about people who get behind the wheel under the influence of illegal or prescription drugs and put you and your family at risk.
In depth tonight, here's WGEM's Dylan Austin.
These images were recorded as evidence by Quincy police after this pickup truck crossed 2 lanes of traffic, hit a tree, hit a stack of wood, hit a fence, and crashed into a house. Police say the driver was on drugs, and they're seeing this more than ever before. Meth addict turned counselor Wayne Gillian knows all about it.
I mean, you're not going to get hardly anybody that comes into treatment that doesn't admit, if they've had a driver's license, that they haven't drove a vehicle to obtain it or while they were using it. I mean, it happens a lot more. There's a lot more impairment on the roads than people actually, have knowledge about.
Federal data collected from over nearly a decade points to a sharp rise in drivers using marijuana. This comes as no surprise to Tri-State police officers and local substance abuse counselors.
As drugs become more socially acceptable, more people fail to see the negative consequences of using or the negative consequences of getting behind the wheel after you've just recently used it.
A study led by the Office of the National Drug Control Policy found that teenagers are now more likely to drive after smoking pot than drinking alcohol, and more relaxed laws are making this dangerous trend harder to enforce.
With the change in the marijuana laws, it requires a quantitative analysis of their blood or urine to determine a certain level of the cannabis in your system, if you will. So I would definitely say that drug driving is up, but because of some of those changes and difficulties, the arrest may be down.
As marijuana legislation continues to change and some lawmakers even push toward legalization, cracking down on drugged driving becomes an even bigger puzzle for police.
Every time one thing changes, it tweaks the whole system. So if a law changes, then our training has to change. The state's attorney's office has to catch up with their penalties. It's just kind of an ongoing process.
But Gillian urges the best treatment for young drivers is the kind they don't receive from counselors like him.
It's about communicating with your kids. It's also about, if you're a teacher, recognizing the signs and symptoms, and reaching them, before it progresses to the point to where they either kill themselves or another on the road, because ultimately that's what's going to happen.
Often overlooked are prescription drugs taken legally by people they're prescribed to, who often underestimate the possible impact it could have on things like driving a car. We'll have more on that part of the story coming up tomorrow morning on WGEM News Today.